And welcome back to the Dean Obeidallah Show. We're live here Friday, September 6th, third hour on Friday. Can only mean what just happened as we look back at the insanity of the week. Joining us, three people to make sense of it all. Carolina Hidalgo, comedian, podcasters, No Dogs in Space on the Last Podcast Network, probably other podcasts by now I don't even know about, but welcome, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad I'm here to help make sense of it all. I'm still screaming and have no idea what's going on.
That's what I try all the time, but I just do it into the show here. Also, in the box to the left, it's Wali Collins, stand-up comic, actor, producer.
Yes.
He has his show on YouTube, Wait, What, with Wali, and something with jazz and comedy and a lot of other stuff. Wali, good to see you.
Good to be seen.
Also,
well, take that back.
Not good to be seen.
Sometimes I don't want to be seen, but good to see you.
Good to see you. And my friend Erik Bransteen is back. Very funny comedian. He's been on SiriusXM. He's written jokes for SNL's Weekend Update, appeared on other networks as well. How are you, my friend?
Good. I feel like you only had me on today so we could talk about Dave Rubin, but we'll get to that later.
No, but we will talk about Dave Rubin. That's not why. That's kind of
I'm
funny.
joking.
You guys know about Dave Rubin?
We both knew him well.
No, I don't know about Dave Rubin.
Carolina? No.
No, I didn't know them. Erik, you knew Dave?
Yeah, me and Dean knew him pretty well.
He was a comic at Gladys's together, and now he's a big right-wing guy, and now he's getting paid by the Russians, apparently. But let's talk about something far exactly. We'll talk about it later. Let's talk more about the fun that's going on here. So Donald Trump yesterday spoke. I'm not even sure that's the right word for it. There's got to be a more accurate synonym for spoke. Like made noises, a series of noises that some people construed as making a statement at the Economic Club in New York here. And the headlines were like, Trump gives economic plan and all that, one after the other. He's going to have Elon Musk help him. Then when you listen to the clips, when he wasn't reading the teleprompter, he was making no sense. It was gibberish. Thankfully, at least Chris Hayes said, this guy, the quality of Trump's brains at question right now. Other people say word salad. Word salad sounds like, oh, you made a mistake or whatever. I've had experts on, this is cognitive decline. And I don't know for the life of me, why our corporate media, which had no problem saying Joe Biden had cognitive decline, refuse to talk about Donald Trump and the D word, which is dementia, and at least not have me on, but have like experts on to go, they've written articles and go like, hey, that's a sign, that's a sign, that's a sign. Americans should know it, then let him respond. But Carolina, what's going on here? Why is it the corporate media refuses to cover Trump's? It is clearly a decline. Is it dementia? I'm not sure yet, but there's experts saying it probably is.
Well, I mean, I do feel like now that we've been dealing with him since like almost a decade with Trump, I feel like we're all experts. At this point, we've been seeing him every single day. We should all get a degree in this because I do see this. I think we all see this. And I know there's places like, TikTok and Reddit, and they do pull this out and they make memes and all this kind of stuff for other people to see. But the mainstream media, they just give a clip of thank you, good night. And that is always infuriating to me, which is why I don't watch any of it. I don't click on any of that stuff, unless I have to. So I don't know why they're doing it. Probably because it money, right? Follow the money. That's my best guess.
Dr. Wali Collins, you're a psychiatrist. Yes. You've seen Donald Trump. You've done studies and theses and papers and doctorates on this kind of stuff. What is wrong with the guy's brain? Tell me.
I told you, but I met him twice. I did a commercial with him, and I was on The Apprentice, and so I met him. And when I met him back then, I was like, something's not right. But no,
really,
but,
there was something wrong then.
No, I'm kidding. But no, the thing that it just bothers me is that he makes good TV. He makes people basically putting that on because it sells, dishwashing liquid, it sells product. So like, even if he's declining or word salad, whatever, people are interested in it. It's like that, if it bleeds, it leads. So I really think that, the media is just loving it and people are just eating it up and, they're selling product.
The problem is though, that you would think they would not cover for him. Like there's a term now called sane washing. It's not a brand new term, but it's getting used more and more to talk about the media. It's like a gaslighting, but instead you're trying to say, you're not talking about with the parts that make a person insane. You're saying, but look at the other stuff they do, which is really good, right? And you ignore the parts of insanity. In this case, Trump's not insane. He has some cognitive decline, which has hit a point where, there's an article in Stat which is a medical publication last month, and I wrote about it, where a bunch of psychologists and linguistics experts and all that looked at his speech from 2020 to 2024, and they raised real alarms, right? So all I want is cable news to have those experts on, not me, them on, to say, here's what we found, here's what's alarming us, and someone should talk about it. So, Eric, I'm not sure if you're a doctor or maybe you PhD, whatever you want to give. You can give yourself any. I can give you the honorary Dean Obeidallah doctorate. So you're Dr. Eric.
No, I think he's perfectly. I don't think there's any decline. I mean, a lot of people, sane people, bring up Hannibal Lecter in every one of their speeches all the time. He calls him right. Does he call him the late great Hannibal Lecter?
Yeah.
I mean, this started years ago with Kofefe. What was that Kofefe, that tweet that he put out?
Yeah,
he was suffering from decline for a while, I think.
So, but you think, I thought you were going to suggest he's actually getting stronger. Like, he gets stronger by the day Donald Trump, like, if you watch him 2020, he's not the same person as 2016. And, when Biden was in the race, it was harder to raise this stuff. You could raise it, but then the other side would say, what about this? You're like, yeah, okay. Yeah. But Carolina, what Trump is doing about Vice President Harris, saying things like, she's not smart, I'm not dumb. She's dumb. This kind of stuff. I'm not weird. She's weird. Like, literally what they're saying. He has a new lie, which he came up with 2 days ago. He said, did you see her interview on CNN? She had the notes, meaning they gave her the questions. There were no notes in front of her. But it doesn't matter. He'll just make up this stuff. So what do we do to keep our own sanity? Like, we're going to get insane.
Right. Oh, I mean, they keep going the rounds, right, of trying to find anything about, like, her laugh is weird. Like, these are all like bottom of the barrel YouTube comments that an actual presidential campaign is trying to throw out. And so the best thing to do is not take the bait, I think, because they keep throwing stuff out and people keep laughing at it and just kind of swatting it away. And I think that's the best thing, because this whole schoolyard bully thing that people have been calling for months is like, it's just getting old and people are getting really sick of it, which I'm glad. Yeah. It's agree. Like 20 seasons of Grey's Anatomy. They just ended already.
Well, Wally, the fact that Trump says she laughs too much, like, we're comedians. We're like, we like that. That's a great quality. Give me an audience of people who laugh too much. Like, I walk out and they just laugh. You don't even do a punchline. I just raise my eyebrow and they're like dying. I'm like, I want a room of Kamala Harris's.
It really is one of those things where he's looking for anything to say, look at that, like one of her sleeves is longer than the other one. You want a president like that who wears ill-fitting clothing? Come on.
You see how she breathes out of her, she breathes in her nose. You see that? That's unbelievable. You should be breathing through your mouth.
But I want to say that this is getting to a point where it can be dangerous, because how he goes on these rants and starts believing he'll say something and just riff on that for like a half hour. And just go down kind of like this rabbit hole. And I'm just afraid he may say something, at that moment that could be dangerous. And, the followers will be like, yeah, we should do this. Or we're going to do that.
Whatever. Oh, you mean like January 6th? Like attack the Capitol? that kind of stuff?
But something even more dangerous where, it can hurt more people. And, I really think that the media, like I said, they're loving, that he is out there and saying these outrageous things. But I'm just afraid that it's going to get dangerous, where people's lives are going to be, at stake.
Anything's possible. I mean, his answer yesterday, and some people have printed it out, which I was happy to see. It really began. They asked him about childcare, and he says, "Well, we had Senator Marco Rubio and my daughter thought it was important." And then he goes on to say that when you talk about those numbers compared to the kind of numbers that I'm talking about by taxing foreign nations at levels they're not used to, but they'll get used to it very quickly. And it's not going to stop them from doing business with us, but they'll have a very substantial tax when they send product into our country. Those numbers are so much bigger than any numbers we're talking about, including childcare. See, every now and then I'll get back to the word childcare. It makes no sense. Right. It's like, and the question was childcare. Like it's like an improv game where you have to put the word childcare in every 30 words. And he's like, I want to stay with childcare. It's relatively small numbers, whatever, childcare, or it's like a drinking game. Every time I say childcare, someone has to do a shot of tequila. I just kill 6 people, that kind of stuff. Like, this is, Eric, where do you come down? I mean, what are we going to do? it's not going to get better with the corporate media. I call it out for my own sanity.
Mhm.
I've never been more disappointed with the corporate media because
Mhm.
maybe we're more
Yeah.
aware of it. Maybe that's a thing. In the past, we would defend them because the right was always attacking them as the enemy. We're like, oh, that's not fair. And now I'm not saying the enemy. I'm just saying they're not on our side. They're not on our.
Yeah.
They're not our friend.
Well, I think now they're trying to go around it a little bit. I think that's why they weren't giving interviews, Harris campaign early on. And people were saying that Trump now is doing a lot of these podcasts, these bro podcasts and stuff. I think that she needs to do a bunch of those and maybe do some late night talk shows. Just
Yeah.
go right to the people.
Maybe
Don't
Dean
have a
Obeidallah
filter.
show.
The Dean Obeidallah
Dean
show. Come
Obeidallah.
on. Carolina is
Yeah.
the queen. That's it. Thank you.
I will get bumped for that. I don't mind.
No, I agree because I think corporate media has made itself more and more irrelevant as ratings go down. If you go on a podcast like Pod Saves America, which is all like Democrats on stuff, you're reaching the audience you want to excite, right? That's it. We're no longer changing people's minds in the country we live in because you can't. I don't know how you change anyone's mind. Everyone's got their own facts. It's like, what are you talking about? This right here says 2 + 2 = 5. You're an idiot. This was sent to me by my cousin. And you're like, really? That's how it works? Exactly. This was in an email. I read it somewhere where I wrote it down and I read it out loud again. And it says, so I don't know how you change anyone's mind. So once people's minds are made up, Carolina, when's the last time anyone changed your mind on a political topic? Can you think of any example where like you thought this and you're like, you know what? That other side makes more sense. There could be. I'm not saying there's not.
Yeah, it's happened. It definitely, and it should happen to a certain degree, I guess. Like I remember, many years ago, I thought like death penalty. What's wrong with that? And then later looking into the numbers of the, first of all, the cost and not just the cost, but the people themselves and like, who are we to do this? And as well as the Innocence Project and everything. And then that's when I realized like looking more into it instead of just going with it, just with my feelings or the hypothetical, what do they come to get me or my family and stuff? Oh, this is the law I want to impose. Instead, I look and I read the statistics. I read what happens to real people. And then you can change your mind. That's really what the simplest way to do it. And some people just can't bother to do step 2 out of 2 steps. And that's
so
very
if
difficult.
there was a cheaper way to execute people, you might be on board though. That's what we're
well, the chances of them being innocent is like also a big no-go.
So it wasn't like a Hunger Games type of thing like we do.
But that's on the
corporate
list.
Sponsorship and like, hey, they're actually making money before being killed and that kind of stuff would be kind of cool. Eric, have you had your mind change on any political issue of?
Well, yeah, up to a few weeks ago, I thought women shouldn't vote. I didn't think they should vote.
And what changed your mind?
I don't know. I said just she's running for president. I think maybe there's some women that should be allowed to vote. I don't know. But I came around on that one.
Right. And Wally, you were Team Trump for a couple of years, and now you've switched back to it's like the black guy for Trump.
Please tell the audience that you're kidding.
I'm kidding. Well, but look, there's a whole industry.
You should be smart enough to know that. Come on.
There's a whole industry. I mean, Clay Kane, who hosts on Urban View, is a really good guy. He wrote a best-selling book earlier this year, Grifters, and it's about Black Republicans. Yes. And he went through how they actually profit, like politically or financially, and that's the incentive. And there are some conservative Black people organically, that's true, but they tend to be like rank and file. They vote. These other guys have made a choice, or women too, like Candace Owens stuff, made a choice. It's even like Ben Shapiro. Who Ben Shapiro, if you guys know, on the right is viewed as a intellectual monster. If he was on the left, he'd be in the middle somewhere. I'm not even kidding. So he realized, I think he was center right, but he wanted to be a screenwriter. And then he's like, that's not working out. I don't have this thing called talent, but I'm a pretty smart guy and I'm smarter than everyone on the right. And I could be a leader. That's what happens. And
you know what? Can I tell you this? What I find interesting? Any of these Black conservatives, I mean, you can go down the line, Omarosa, any of them that were with him back in 2000 and all that, they all fall off. There hasn't been any Black MAGA or conservative with Trump that stayed with him till this day. So it's such a very small window to if you want to grip, you got like maybe 2-3 years and then you're gonna fall off. So
Ben Carson is the only one around. Herman and Cain, Trump killed with COVID. You might remember that. That's sad. I hate to laugh. It's not funny, but it's sad. That's why I laugh at it.
Right.
It's so he killed him, and for some reason Ben Carson's been able to stick around, but he keeps a low profile. It's the ones that are the comets. They burn out quickly, right? They're bright. They're there. Omaroso's like everyone's have to bow. She really said like everyone's have to bow down to Trump. He's your leader now, and all this. And then they had a falling out like a few hours later. She goes, "He's terrible," and then she makes a living saying he's terrible. They get
and then those the pastors, all those black pastors that it's one I can't get their names. But there's one that said he graduated from certain college, whatever, and they just Googled and fact and they're like, no, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. And he was just kind of like went kind of like away, but he came back, but he's so low profile. And then there's another pastor. So I'm saying it's just, and it's at the same, for my people, when they're black conservatives and they're openly Trump supporters, they fall off.
It's very interesting. It's also, you make a good point though, Wally, that Google is the enemy of these fraudsters. Like before Google, you have to go find a newspaper. I found this paper from 1978 in microfiche. It's like, that's not really me. And you're like, oh, now Google, like, here's everything about you. Like, this is, it's good and bad at the same time. I'm chatting with Carolina Hidalgo, Wali Collins, and Erik Bransteen. So by the way, we just learned today, Vice President Harris's campaign in August raised 3 times as much money as Donald Trump in August. She raised $360 million in August. It's not even the July money. She raised a few at the bottom of the month when she became the candidate, a ton of money. $360 million, 3 times more than Trump. And I don't know if Trump cares, but I mean, it doesn't seem on the right they care. This actually says something. And this, by the way, Carolina, this is small dollar stuff. This isn't the big super PAC stuff, which I despise. This is like people actually giving money. She raised $80 million the night of her speech. Imagine having a gig like that. Like you're so good. Like if I wish they could put our comedy sets online live and people can just like bid it up. That was so funny. How'd you do? I made $300,000. Like, wow. So Carolina what did it say to you that there's so much energy on small dollar donations were going to her? And it seems like Trump has sold his last golden sneakers. Like people have bought all his Bible. He sold so much bullshit for so long. Now when he needs the money, they're tapped out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people who contributed to the Harris campaign that first week, and I threw in $250 because I was excited too. I'm like, I'm gonna put myself in there. Boom, here you go. And now she texts me every day. I get emails from Tim all the time, which, is nice, but I also have to write stop to end.
And does it end?
Well, it doesn't end.
No, and I've had that same thing.
I can't give more than that. I mean, like, it's your job now. You go on. But I believe that it is the excitement of like, remember last time I was on this show and we were all like just plainly hungover and really depressed about Biden. And then here we go with this new energy. And the more we look at her, the more excited we get because this is like a possibility that we're not going to fall into a fascist state. So I think it's that energy plus the DNC put on a really fun show. It's the first time I've ever seen a convention ever in my life. And I actually watched like 2 of those nights. So I think it's like the putting on the great show, the giving like great hope and actual like clear just understanding. Her speech was so clear that anyone could possibly understand, which is the complete opposite of Trump. And that's a big difference. And
it's also interesting. There were so many Republicans who are over 200 people who used to work for George W. Bush and the father and Romney signing a letter supporting Harris, and people like Liz Cheney this week. I didn't put it on the list, but Liz Cheney endorsed her and Adam Kinzinger before, whatever. And the only Democrats you have they're just people who can profit themselves, which were Tulsi Gabbard, who's not really a Democrat anymore, and RFK Jr., who's just, that's it. But they both did it for their own benefit. They're all going to benefit personally if they win. These other people, it's not like Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, the 200 other people. Mike Pence has not even endorsed Donald Trump to this day. And that's where things like the media, like, shouldn't you cover that a little more? I mean, these are kind of things like the guy who knows him and worked with him for 4 years doesn't want to be hung again. And so
well, he did try to kill him. So maybe that was
that's why he's in a bunker right now. Yeah.
It's remarkable.
That's so mafia, man. When you think about that, is so mafia. You know what I mean? You're like, you're not loyal to me? Take him out. Oh God.
But for a while, Mike Pence was like on the fence. They're like, well, this guy tried to kill you. He's like, yeah, but I like his tax cut policy. It's like,
But you should see off frame, there's like guns at his head at this point,
right.
or a sword dangling over him. I could tell that baby is scared.
Yeah.
It's mafia, or it's also like Saddam Hussein stuff. I mean, it's the kind of thing where it's absolute loyalty or you're gone. And speaking of mafia, by the way, on the show today, earlier, Lorraine Bracco from Goodfellas and from The Sopranos, because she's one of the headliners of Paisans for Kamala. They're doing an online fundraising event.
Oh,
Seriously.
good. I was afraid you were going to say something else.
No, she's the Paisan. So it's her and Alyssa Milano and the Mooch, Steve Buscemi, and all these Italian Americans. So I had on to talk about that. Plus, of course, the big HBO documentary. If you like Sopranos, this weekend, brand new 2-part documentary with David Chase, who created it. And being half Sicilian, this is the kind of stuff you grew up and you're like, this is a true story. All of this. So what everyone to know. Sit down. Okay. These are like my mom, we would watch, and my mom's like, your grandfather knew that guy. I'm like, I don't, that's not real. And she goes, he did. And these are the things you grew up.
Well, you're from New Jersey too, right? So that's like,
oh my God. We know where all the Sopranos was shot. Like, that's over there. Oh my God, that's that place and this place over here. So, hey, all right, let's talk about the big thing that's going to happen next week, but it's so important, is the debate. And this is the last debate ended Joe Biden's campaign. I'm hoping this debate, Trump's not dropping out, but it ends this. Like that's like the stepping on the lantern bug, like it's gone. And Trump's just there and it's remnants of him. So, Wally, let me start with you. First of all, Vice President Harris agreed to what Trump wanted. Ultimately, it was the only way to do it. Harris wanted the microphones on all the time. And they wanted Trump to be Trump. They wanted everything he says, because he was saying stuff under his breath when Biden was there. They want everyone to hear it. That's what Biden said here and there. And it could have been like normal reaction, like, come on, what are you kidding? But they want people to hear that. But nope, so it's going to be muted. So first of all, what do you think about that? Because part of me is like, didn't you want it quiet so he can't interrupt you? But they are like, no, we want America to see how bad this guy is and to be reminded. So what do you think of that, the microphone thing?
I'm going to tell you that is confidence right there. That's knowing we got this. We want to play by your rules. Okay, fine. We'll do by your rules. I'm telling you, that's the ultimate of confidence. Like, you want to play, you want to go in your stadium? All right, fine. We'll go in, you know what I mean? So, and I think, she really, really prepared. She did she watched the don'ts of what Biden did and said, okay, we're mindful of that, da. All right. And so then they're going to highlight, just let him bury himself, So yeah, there's going to be a strategy to this. And that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the strategy. All
right. So Eric, we know Trump's going to lie nonstop because he's so detached from reality. There are times I don't sincerely know if he gets his lying at some point like that. He's in a new world, right? He's going to lie. What does she do? She can't waste her time fact checking everything. She wants to tell
I don't know.
America
I kind of think I think she kind of maybe should just say, that's a lie and then go right into her thing, or just say, maybe check my website for what this motherfucker's lying about. She has to fact check them a little bit, because ABC's they're not going to do it. The moderators are not going to do it. You can't let them get off the hook.
One of the best ways to do that is, I had a teacher that did this. She would, if someone's not saying the truth, she'll say, that's lie number 1, lie number 2, lie number 3. You know what I mean? And so it got to a point where, like, people were, even the person talking would be like, you know what I mean? And
I think that's a good idea.
That's a really good idea.
What if Kamala does that lie number 1, lie number 2, and then stops saying, just does her hands like this, 8. Like, when he's talking, 9, that's exactly. That's 10. And then he looks at her like 10.
Keep and going.
Right. I don't have enough. She puts her foot up, has like a
maybe have cards that say 11 and 12 and 13.
She like, what, well, what do you think, Carolina, about, because he'll lie so much, and she has this, she still wants to be liked by the rest of America. Like, you can't be a complete jerk unless he's being a jerk. It's like being a comedian and getting heckled. If someone's just saying something and if you're an asshole to him right off the top, the audience is like, why are you doing that? If someone's a jerk, you have the license to do whatever you want. Trump knows enough not to be overly jerky unless he gets upset, which would be great. But how do you think she should flag the lies? Should it be like as simple as, there he goes again, or Donald Trump just lied to you again. Let me tell you the truth. Over and over and over, where he goes, I'm not lying. Like, let him get mad. Or how does she call it out? Because he will lie. Last time he lied at least 30 times, CNN said, NPR said, was like a 90 or 100 mistruths, lies, and exaggerations. You can't call out everything, but fundamental important things, you have to do it. Like when he says everybody wanted to overturn Roe v. Wade, they all wanted it. That's what he keeps saying. She's going to say, she's got to lean in there. I mean, that's one of those. It's like, here's a gimme for her. Anything she should do, like a little thing lights up on her lapel, like lie, like it would be funny if there was something humorous in it. Like, we need to have a sense of humor about this because this is just she can't say insane. This is horrible.
It is insane, though. I do believe it is. And I do think that right now, Kamala is somewhere in a conference room with 10 other people, and they're like just throwing things at her, like, C word. What do you do? And so I think she's ready. I think which sucks because it's like, what is this? Like wrestling? Like, no, this is a presidential debate, but she still has to train like one. Like, how is she going to get back at this guy? And how is she going to, yes. But I do like your idea, Dean, of saying like, no, that's all a lie. And this is the truth. And but calling him a liar without having to get defensive on your stance, but you call him out. And I think that's the important thing, instead of just constantly focusing on yourself and your stuff and what what your party believes and everything. Call him out. And I think she will do that. I mean, she's DA. I mean, if she can't do it, who can?
There was a study this week that came out. This New York Times wrote about it, but I went and read it. And they did a huge amount of focus groups for voters who were undecided or left-leaning, wherever they were there. And the ads that were the most effective weren't the ones that were 100% critical of Trump. Their point was everybody knows Trump. There's nothing bad you can say that they haven't heard. The best ads for Harris were the ones that were a contrast. Like, here's what Trump wants to do. Here's what Trump did. Here's what I'll do. And then the second best were just about her. Because a lot of Americans, you guys might be surprised, what polling shows us, don't know much about her yet. Because we follow it more, right? Other people, they know she's the vice president, but you don't know much about a VP, right? So they don't know much about her. Here's her chance. The DNC help, but this will help as well. The contrast on the stage. Look, she can say little. I hope she's funny. She was funny. She can be funny. Like there's two of us on stage. Only one of us is a convicted felon. Like you can do kind of fun. One of us will be sentenced in 2 weeks. Or I guess the danger is there's no audience. You tell a joke and there's no one there to laugh. It's always like everyone at home has to go like, was that funny or not? I don't know. What do you think, Eric? Humor? You think humor with no audience is a good idea?
I think probably the weird strategy, just calling him weird. I know that's going to be Waltz's strategy with JD Vance, but I think she might want to include that a little bit, because I think that's that line of attack. I mean, I'm sure you're talking about a lot, works really well for these guys.
It does. No, you can curse here. It does, and it does. Like it does in that, Tim Walz said, I call them weird because they're fascist and they want you to be afraid of them. And I'd rather we just say they're weird and creepy and people get something's wrong, right? They're not normal. And that was his point, to boil it down to this emotional thing. Like they're weird in a bad way, not weird like in a cool way, like you're in Austin, like we keep it in Portland. Like this is like, because there's weird that's cool. Like that's weird. That's really cool. Let's go check that out. And there's weird like that. Let's not go over there. And that's the kind of weird he is. So look, the debate on Tuesday, do you think this debate has the potential to be as defining as the last debate? I mean, Wally, the last debate was unlike anything we've ever seen because a candidate dropped out a short time afterwards. We've never had the nominee for either party go, okay, that didn't go well. I'm done, everybody. Let's go. I'm going to the beach. You guys wrap it up. So do you think there's a chance it could be that's as significant as that's when we look back, historians go like, that was the day where the race broke open? Because right now, Harris is leading, but up by 2 and 3. Do you think there's a chance it goes well enough where she's up by 5 or 6 and that's the end of it? It just goes right to the end and runs away?
I'm just so surprised how close it is.
Yeah, that's like, it's
in like, the polls are kind of, I look at polls kind of like, yeah, okay. I mean, it's like, the value of your house, you know what I mean? It's worth, 200 million, you know what I mean? Then what you sell it for 100 million, you know what I mean? So, but, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm sure for the first 10, 15 minutes, people are going to be, the rating's going to be, blow the roof off. But it's all up to her strategy, how is she going to, compete with that? The best way, I think, is just to not fall into that trap of like arguing with them, going 1-to-1 back and forth. It's going to waste time, and it's going to make him look good because he knows how to get under your skin. He knows how to, be annoying. So, I really think that hope she gets advised, like, listen, be the smarter person, get right to the issues. If he lies, just mention that it's a lie, but show that, that you are the more cohesive, and you can speak more cohesively, that you're more coherent, that, you're right on task. You stay on topic. That's what I'm thinking.
They can't argue this way if their microphones are really shut off when they're not speaking. It takes away the argument.
But like Biden was saying, that he could hear him in the corner of his ear. That could be distracting. You're like,
sure.
No, that kind of thing. Oh, and by the way, the debate's on my birthday, so that's gonna be a great present.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
I wonder if under her breath she can say things that like, "Oh, nice small hands."
Just like a whisper when she's shaking hands.
Yeah. What's wrong with your face?
What is wrong with his face?
I think
he's wearing. I think he really is wearing a diaper. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Is that a diaper? Or like, what does that smell? Did you poop yourself? Like when he's talking, like the littlest thing.
She's gonna give him that stare. Remember that when she was speaking, and she said, and she just did, like, looked at someone in the audience. She gave that stare of like, what you want to do? You want some of this?
You're gonna lose to a black woman and then sit back. Like, how does that feel? You piece of art. Let's take a break. We get a lot more to cover, from lighter things to even the horrible things like the school shooting, and is it ever going to change the Americas? Let's take a break. We'll come back with more of what just happened right after this. And welcome back. We're continuing what just happened. Carolina Hidalgo, Wali Collins, and Erik Bransteen. So here, I found this really amusing. Isaac Hayes, in death, still doesn't want Trump songs played at his rallies. His family sued to stop him from playing the song "Hold On, I'm Coming" at his rallies anymore. And a judge this week ruled in the favor of Isaac Hayes because his family, the estate, owns the rights to it, and said you got a temporary injunction to using the song. Trump doesn't care. Like, they're told by people not to do it. And just so people know, here's a list of the artists that have objected Trump using their songs. ABBA, Beyonce, Celine Dion, Sinead O'Connor, again through her estate, the Beatles, Adele, Bruce Springsteen, Elton John, Foo Fighters, Guns N' Roses, Leonard Cohen, Queen, Prince, Pharrell, the Rolling Stones, the Smiths, Johnny Marr, Rihanna, Neil Young, Linkin Park, the late Tom Petty, Village People, Aerosmith, Steven Tyler, and more. Like, it's really, there's like, does Scott Baio sing? I mean, where are we at? Like, what do you do?
I mean, that's an epic Spotify playlist right there, and when Trump's is Lee Greenwood and Kid Rock, so it's not really bounced off there, I think.
Hulk Hogan, Kid Rock duet. Listen, these artists, I mean, Isaac Hayes' family is so committed to this. They hired a lawyer, spent money to sue Trump in federal court to get an injunction. That says, like, Carolina, I mean, that's a level of commitment to saying, don't use my song. Don't use the song of our family. I think that's kind of remarkable.
I think, yeah, that is interesting. And I wanted to ask you, Dean, because you know your law, like, does that set any kind of precedent? Like, is there a reason behind this, like, that they want to do this, or is there a law to bar Trump from playing any music that is anyway rocking or melodic?
It's copyright. It's like, if you own the copyright to a song, then you own, it's called a bundle of rights, but you own all these rights, including performance, which is playing it out loud. So if you don't give permission, like, most people don't know, if you're some small candidate running for office and you're coming out to like an AC/DC song, AC/DC is not going to find out. But if you're Donald Trump, you're running for president, you do. That's why Kamala Harris went to Beyonce and said, could I use that Freedom song? And she's like, yep, you can use the song. That's why everyone thought she was going to be at the DNC. And before this is over, she might. So yeah, you can. You can send a letter first, they'd stop. And if they don't, then you have to go to court. And it costs you money to get an injunction. But it's unbelievable. I mean, there really is so few.
A lot of people don't know this, but Francis Scott Key's estate asked Trump.
Don't start paying a banker in front of he has a January 6th scumbag singing that song. I'm happy. He had canceled the event at his country club that's supposed to be for last night here in Jersey, the next date over, for the J6 Awards Gala. They were doing a J6 Awards Gala at his country club, and the press got so bad. And I feel like I contributed. I wrote about it for MSNBC, but others then did as well, and they had to cancel it. So it's remarkable that kind of garbage. So,
well, can
Eric,
I got another legal question for you.
Oh,
YMCA.
Show.
What about music? YMCA, he gets to use that all the time. They're
the village
not
people
suing.
don't want it. No, the village people want him to stop. The question is are they going to spend the money to get a lawyer to file and then try to get an injunction? So you have to file a complaint in court and get the lawyers involved. And do you want to do that? The village people don't want their song. They're on the list of artists. It's like, who wants your music played? Like for Trump, like there's Lara Trump, the daughter-in-law, who's the worst singer. He won't even play her stuff. It's so bad. Trump won't even play his daughter-in-law's horrible songs, which don't even seem real. Like it seems like it's a SNL parody of someone singing a song. Like they're awful. So
he won't use her. He won't use her music.
I don't know. I haven't heard. He could play it. He could play a lot of songs for all I know before he comes out. I don't know. But it's when these artists find out, someone brings it to their attention. It's not like the Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl is watching Trump rallies and go like, that's my song. That's ridiculous. Like someone's flagging it for them. And they're like, don't do that.
Can he use, he can use songs in the public domain, like Happy Birthday or something like that, right?
He's coming out to Happy Birthday, Old Lang Syne. He's coming, all these songs from a long time ago. Put your left foot in, put your right foot out.
It's gonna come down to telephone rings.
Ringtones that can't be other people's songs. I wish he would come do it. Somebody who just shows up like, that's my, like, it's just interesting to see where we are in this world. So on a much harsher thing that happened, we had another school shooting this week. A 14-year-old carried an AR-15 to his school. The father was just charged with crimes for it because knowingly allowing his son to have an AR-15 when gave it to him when his last birthday or Christmas time, when the police already had investigated the son for threats. And then, like, this is all horrible. The GOP does nothing. They don't. There's not one policy they will support to do this. And what does JD Vance says? He said at a rally yesterday, I don't like to admit this. I don't like it. It's a fact of life. Woo! Yeah. Okay. You are so disposable with other people's children. This guy, just go back to talking about cat ladies, because that's horrible. And this is horrible. So, Carolina, why they literally care more about guns and they're willing to sacrifice the lives of our children for that?
Well, I mean, it all comes to money, right? At the end of the day, the lobbying and everything. This is stuff we figured out like 20 years ago. And this is just the way it is. Kind of business is just it's an abusive tactic, actually. But it has become, it's going to get close to the point where it's like, we're going to just have to get rid of Christmas because we got to get rid of everything but the guns. Obviously, holidays are out. The schools eventually will be out. And then there'll be no more school shootings, and that's it. Problem solved. But it's just basically the money, and this is what they're they need to push this kind of propaganda, of course. Even though they're just like you said, JD Vance's children are secured. They have security. He and Donald Trump are talking behind a bulletproof glass, and they say there's nothing that can be done. Trump was actually shot at already, which we already forgot. I know. I reminded everyone again.
Thank you.
And yet,
wait, what happened?
Nothing. I know.
There was an assassination attempt in this campaign, and no one even cares about it anymore. Like what? Who cares?
Did it happen a month ago or 7 years ago? I can't even remember anymore.
But I'm surprised JD Vance doesn't call for every child to get their own bulletproof glass container that you bring them to school. And
they're going to sell those for $500 each. I'm sure.
And they'll subsidize that. The Republicans like, finally, this is something Trump Enterprises are going to start selling it. Like, and you're going to be able to buy it. The little kid is in the glass thing. Or remember in Dune? You ever see Dune? Where they had that, they press the button and there's like a force field around them. He's like, I saw this movie Dune. This is what Trump would say. I saw this movie and there's a way to protect kids where you don't have to worry about it. You press a button and there's a shield. A force field comes up. So remarkable. I mean, Wally, at the same time, Republicans talk nonstop about abortion's murder. Actually, shooting a child in a classroom is murder. And
that's the thing that always bothers me. They're talking about you're pro-life, you're pro-life, you're pro-life. But meanwhile, guns have killed more children than as they say, abortions. And I really thought that this would be a great, when the assassination attempt happened, I thought it'd be a great way to say, listen, we need more gun control because our leader was shot at. And I figured that was it. Okay. Now you don't care about kids, you don't care about families, but you know what? Now your leader was shot at. So now let's talk about it. But you know what? Within a week, it went away. So I don't know, man. I just think that the NRA has something on the government. Like they have some kind of blackmail, some kind of dirt, whatever. And if they say anything about gun control, whatever, NRA is going to be like, well, what about blah, 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 So I don't know. It just seems so amazing to me that they're not stopping children getting killed.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but how did we defeat the tobacco companies to get to the point where we are now? Like, maybe we should take a lesson and see what the hell. Unless Wali's right, though.
No, but that's the thing. They are, because in 2005 they passed a law where you can't sue the gun manufacturers. That's how they stopped the tobacco thing. So now this legal strategy where they're going after the parents, it's not a bad one. I thought at first they did it in Michigan. I thought that was a little overboard, but it may not be a bad legal strategy because you can't sue the gun manufacturers anymore.
Right. You can't. They're starting to get around that law a little bit in certain by alleging advertising and it's not the manufacturer of the gun. It's the way you advertise the gun, because they're immune from lawsuits based on the manufacturer. Like, you're using the gun the way you're supposed to kill people, right? So you can't sue us for that. That was the immunity of this commerce law from during George W. Bush. But now, like in New York and other places, they're getting around it. We'll see, though. Once it gets to the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court will take the side of the gun manufacturer. Go, no, you can't even sue for advertising or anything in connection with the sale of guns. It's in the spirit of the law, some bullshit like that, because this is the world we live in. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I saw someone saying that using a strategy, these are not guns, these are weapons of war. So they're not included in any gun legislation. I don't know if that strategy works, but
yeah, maybe. I mean, the handgun is really the other one. The handgun is the biggest killer of everybody, but it's the AR-15 that gets the press, because handguns are used in suicides, and we lose about 70 people a day from suicide involving a gun in America. Yeah, more of every day, about 110, 120 people die on average involving a gun. 2/3 are suicides. And we never talk about the suicides because there's some kind of stigma in American society. And all they'll say, oh, well, you can't do anything about it. Actually, in states where they have 3-day waiting periods, the death by gun goes down a little bit. Guns are the most successful effective way to kill yourself. It's 90+%. People trying to kill themselves with pills or trying to hang themselves, it's much lower. Like it's much lower. You got to be really good at it. So it doesn't always work. Gun, you put a gun in your mouth or your head, you're gone. So it actually is a way of saving lives. It's kind of remarkable that people don't talk about that. 2/3. I've had so many experts on. People are like, what? Yep. 2/3 of the daily deaths by guns are suicide. People takes a gun to themselves and kill themselves. And we can do things to reduce it, because 3-day waiting periods have worked, because at least it reduces it a little bit where people feel really distressed and desperate. You have to wait 3 days to get the gun, and you hope you get some help or things change, or you get the medication or whatever you need.
Yeah.
But you can't throw your hands up. Like, if people want to kill themselves, they're going to do it. Yeah, let's not just dismiss it. Maybe we can do certain things and get more mental health care for people.
Is the suicide rate higher in America, or is it there's other countries that
That one I don't know where we are. I probably looked at it at one point. I just can't. My brain's trying to access it, but it doesn't figure it out. I remember probably once I looked at that kind of thing. I don't remember offhand. But let's talk about let's shift gears here and chat with Wali Collins, Erik Bransteen, Carolina Hidalgo. No, we got to talk about this Russian thing, because we know one of the 3 people who are involved. He's not been charged with a crime, to be clear, but the DOJ indicted 2 Russian people who are doing work for Russia, funding these conservative influencers, we'll call them, Tim Pool, David Rubin, and Benny Johnson. And there's so much money, millions of dollars, and these guys were making videos and stuff. And Tim Pool's like, I had full editorial control. Meanwhile, he's saying Ukraine's the greatest enemy of America. Like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they're just signing off on you saying what they want. But one of the people, so I'll have to go to you, my friend Eric, is Dave Rubin, who we know for a long, long time. He was an open mic comic at Gladys's. And I worked on comedic projects with him. And then he just went off and became a right-wing activist. I don't know when that happened. So what do you think, Eric?
Well,
and he became a millionaire.
You're skipping some steps first, because he was first a left-wing person and on radio and TV, and didn't seem to pay enough, so he kind of moved the other way.
It's funny that happens a lot with people we've seen in comedy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, but so you see, like, why would that not be unbelievable? He'll take money to say anything, really. I mean, he just changed because you know why he changed. Because there's more money in being a right winner.
It's true. And by the way, this is my last show. I'm going to Fox News next week. The Dean Obeidallah show. It's going to be great. It's a big show. Look, Dave Rubin. So apparently these guys, they're saying they're the victim because you're always the victim on the right. Like, you know, if you're a white rich person, you're the victim. We were the victims. We didn't know Tenet Media was getting funded by right-wing people. So we'll see what happens with them. Now, it's not like they got famous from that. They were known before and recruited. So I'm sure Dave will go out and still make money doing his.
But how about just give the money back? Let's see if they're going to do that.
Yeah, if it really matters so much.
Yeah,
that's not
right.
Not going to happen.
Give it to Ukraine.
Sure. Why not? All right. So we're not going to talk more, but last thing we'll touch on before, then I want everyone to plug what they want is NFL kicked off yesterday. Taylor Swift was there. So we got that this weekend's NFL. Carolina, do you like football? Is it meaningful does it mean anything to you? Even if you don't watch football, is it the beginning of fall? Like, does it indicate anything?
No, except for the Super Bowl, where that's the one night of the year I care. And then
you do.
And then it ends just like Christmas. Yeah.
So
same thing.
Do you go to church before or anything? Nothing. There's no gifts in
Super Bowl church. No, I don't really know much about football. I do know like Taylor Swift, that whole deal, because you can't really hide from that no matter how hard you try. And you know, like, hey, whatever she wants to do, I don't care. I mean, yeah, sure. Let's see what she's wearing. Oh, great, fantastic, looks cute. Now let's move on. That's what I think we should do.
If they break up, her and Kelsey, the player from I hope she dates someone like on the team, like their rival team, like the Ravens, or like showing up like it's sort of like something like Grease. She's there with the other people, like, oh, look who you're with now, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Or like maybe one of the Giants. I'm a Giant fan. It won't even matter. Wally, what about you? Football mean anything to you?
Not really. Like she was saying, at Super Bowl, I'm more, you know, I'm from Massachusetts, so you know, I'm Patriot leaning. But Super Bowls, that's when that's when I have my interest.
Only the big game.
It's fun too, actually. I mean, it's a great time for family get together and, like you say, exchange gifts. You know,
there's a sandwich wheel. It's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Does no one like sports? Eric, do you like football at all?
No, I do. I like baseball more, and the Yankees usually play until late October. Then when that's over, I try to focus on the Jets, but they're already out of it by that time. It's crazy.
I have to say, I'm a big Celtics fan. So
you are?
Yeah, I'm big Celtics fan.
So you do like a sport. It's just not that one. All right. Before we run out of time, Carolina, where can people follow you and any projects you want to plug? Please let them know.
Well, check out, I'm on Instagram, Carolina Hidalgo. I've deleted all my other social media. I'm this close to deleting that one. So check that out on there, or check out No Dogs in Space on Last Podcast Network. We got new shows coming up. We're doing a whole punk series on the DC hardcore scene. It's coming out pretty soon. I can't believe I said it out loud because it's supposed to be a secret, but whatever.
There you go. That's pretty cool. Wally, what about you, my friend?
September 14th, I have a show called Jokes and Jazz at the new Rodney's on First Avenue.
Oh, nice.
It's the revitalized of old Dangerfields, and they wanted to bring some class into the place. So I'm hosting. It's a show that I created and I'm producing. It's called Jokes and Jazz, September 14th at Rodney's on First Avenue. 1118 First Avenue. Please come. It's our first show. They want to make it a regular thing. It's our first show, and I want to make it a regular thing. And it's music and laughs, and the incredible Kyoko Lane, a sound collective me playing, and we have Veronica Mosi and Brian Scott McFadden. So it's a great show. It's a lot of fun. I promise.
Jokes and Jazz. I'm working on a show, Hilarity and Hard Rock. It's a big show. That's
a good one.
That's what we're doing. I get Megadeth playing at the first one. Eric, what about you? What are you working on?
You just follow me at ERIKB Comic on Instagram. Eric B Comic, and I'm performing all over the place.
Check them out. They're all really funny, talented podcasts, live shows, everything. Thank you so much for being on. All three, you were great. I really appreciate it. We're going to take a break, be back with more.